So let us start our session number 2. Session 2, these are the contents of this session 2, which is being divided into 3 parts. Part number 1 is the introduction to ETABS and SAFE. In second part, we will be modeling for a proposed 14-story building. And the third part is the discussion on the engineer-architect interaction, which we will discuss during this course time to time. Right? So in the introduction to ETABS, there will be a discussion on the interface of an ETAB, its uses and tools. And then we will go towards the interface of the SAFE, its uses and different tools that has been used during the design of this course, or what are different tools that you can use in future designs of your proposed structures. Right, so first of all, let us go towards the introduction of ETABS and SAFE, and then we will end up this part 1 of session 1. When you open your ETAB, this is the window you will see, that is the model idealization, and which is how software is asking you to select different types of the units. US customer is the default units, and then if you are designing a steel section, steel building, it's asking about the code you have to select. And for the database, that is, for example, you are designing a white flange beam or C section, so the data will be collected from that code. And for the design purpose, there is another option. You have to select that code to be design that building of steel structure of your proposed building. Then the last one is the complete design code. You have to select your design code ACA 31814, and there are many others, right? So we will keep that as default, right? And we will click on OK. So after clicking on OK, there is another window, that is the new model quick templates. These are the templates of the ETAB. If you are quickly designing, modeling your structure, you can use these templates. For example, if you are designing your two-way slab system, you will click on this template. And these are the ribs, means one-way joist system. So you unclick this, and there will be some definition of the columns, beams in X direction, beams in Y direction, and the slab properties. So let us keep this as default, because this is an introductory class, introduction of the ETABS. And we will keep that as a default, and we will click on OK. So when we click on OK, directly the number of stories that you have defined and grid sizes and all the beam, column, slab properties, that will directly appear, and you'll have your 3D model in ETABS. Right, so this is the overall interface of an ETAB. When there is no modeling, or you haven't defined any quick templates or grid lines, many of the commands will be unclickable. They are not, you cannot use it. But when we have different grids or your model, you can use different commands. So on the first step is about the file, in which you can open new models and open existing model and close this window. You can save as. You are familiar with these if you have used ETABS. You can import different type of files to ETAB, and you can export different type of files from ETAB to different softwares. For example, we will be using this Storey SAFE version 12 F2K file when we will be modeling our craft. So you can create your window for dynamic analysis, and you can create your report of your project. You can take pictures, and then you can insert project information. You can client name and project name, and you can insert the company logo, and you can write your name, right? For example, this is engineer Lean, like that. You have insert all of these information. You can write, for example, the project name is 14-story building, and this information will appear when you create your project report. This information will be on the title page of your project report. So these are the different tools in the first tab of file, which we can use. The second one is the edit one, where you can edit your selected frame structure or your selected beams and columns. You can copy, paste, delete, modify, add grid lines. You can replicate, extrude. All of these options will be used during or not all, but most of them that are commonly used. For example, edit frame. If you want to divide your frame into two, you can use this. For example, if I select this beam, I want to divide into two, you can go and divide frames, and this is, you are saying divide into two, so it will be divided into two. You can see now there are two different frames. So there are many other ways. You can edit your shells, you can edit the links if you are using any links in your design project or research project. You can edit tendons that are used for pre-stressing, and you can design strips and all the labeling you can do from this tab edit. The another one is the view, in which we can change our view of a structure. For example, if you want to see, for example, this is a 3D view, or if you want to change it to plane view, you will select Storey 5, it will automatically change into the plane view, right? So you can change your building view limits. For example, by default, set building view limits. This is by default set story range is from bottom base to story 4. If you want to see only one story, you will select the bottom is base, the one story. You will only see one story. The all stories has been removed, or you cannot see, although they are present, but you cannot see because you have set your building view limits. You can show all and click on OK, so art will appear. The next one is the set display options, in which you can set different types of options. For example, if you want to view your members in different colors, it is by default as an object. You can see on section, material properties, and group. If you click on this, so it will become colorful because different colors has been assigned to slabs, beams, and columns. These are the different options. You can check and uncheck if you want to see something in your project or not. For example, if you want to select your beams and you do not want to see your slabs and columns, so uncheck columns, floors, and walls and apply. So only beams will appear, so you can easily select your beams and edit or apply loads, whatever you want to do. So this is the use of this command, set option command. There is another properties, there is operative assignment command, in which you want to see the label of the assignments, the shells, the labels of the shells, sections that has been assigned, and many other options. Same for this frame. If you want to see which section has been assigned to beams and column, so click on section and apply. It will appear that concrete beam property has been assigned to the beam. Just same is for the columns. If I show the column, so it will show you the naming of these namings are coming from the definition of the section that has been defined in here by default. So you can edit it in later on your design name, right? So this is the use of this. This is a powerful tool where which can you use it your design project. So this was an overview of the display, set display, and then other you have to for example, if you want to disappear your grids, you click on the set grid system visibility and click on all. It will disappear your grid that has been defined. You click again on it, your grid will appear again, right? So these some of the features are unclickable because you haven't selected any object. If you select different objects and click on view, there will be different object that has been clickable. For example, if you want to make this selected object invisible and click, only these object will be invisible and all other you can see. All of the object you can see, but the selected object is invisible. Again, you can make it visible by going again into view and show all objects. So again, it will appear, right? In 3D view, you can see the render view of your project by going to view and show render view. So it will show you the render view of your project where you can see clearly about the connection of your beam, columns, slabs, and what the model will look like. So this is the render. And the another option is the show render view. This is tracing. This is a very advanced rendering which cannot be done in ordinary laptops and so in systems. You have to a very good system having a good system configuration like RAM and processor and SSD, that is a new hard drive, so you can run this rendering. The next one is the define, in which you can define material properties, section properties, frame structure, tendons, these are pre-stressed tendons, slabs properties, discs, walls, and many others. Same is for the springs. In the definition tabs, you can define anything that has been used in this project, whether it is material properties, section properties, diaphragms, group definitions, and then load patterns. If you want to define your load patterns, we will be defining it on our project. You can define it from here. Load combinations, you will define it from here, and you have this load cases, you can define it from here. Another option is the draw option, in which you can draw different elements. For example, if I go to the view, if I click on this draw beam column embraces, I can draw. This is a manual. I can draw it by freehand. Any shape at any angle, I can draw different types of the beams, and you have to select the properties. This is a type of the line. For example, in the left corner, the properties of the object which you are drawing is type of line is frame. Properties, you have to select your property. If it is beam, column, whatever it is, you have to select it from here. And the moment releases means continuous, means it is a rigid. And if you select the pin, it is pin support. Continuous means rigid, and pin means it is hinge support. It will not take any moments, right? So in RC frame system, we have rigid because the beam is connected rigidly to the column, so we will, by default, it is continuous. But if you are designing a truss, so the truss member are pinned, so you, in the case of a truss, you have to select this pin command. And then you can draw elements by straight, or you can by curve, 2-arc curve and 3-point curve. You can draw your desired beams and slab sections, or whatever you want to wish. The next one is the draw different, for example, a quick command, that is quick beam column, that is been drawn using grids. It also available on the left side. You can see this tab. This is the manual drawing. This is the quick beam. This is the quick columns, and this is the quick secondary beams, and many others. This is the quick slabs. We will be using these. For example, if I delete these and I click on quick column, so it is using draw object using grids, if you see in the left corner. So if I move my cursor like this, it will automatically draw my columns, right? Same is for the slab. If I quickly go through the grids, it will automatically draw my slabs, right? So these are the different tools we will be using in our training course. The next one is the select, in which you can select your different elements, columns, beams, slabs, and it has many different options. If you want to select an object type, properties, labels, groups, story wise. For example, if normally you will be using this property option, in which we will go towards the properties. If you want to select a specific frame, slabs, and delete it, or change its properties, or assign a property, you can use this command. We will be using this in our structure. For example, if I go to the frame and if I select my beam, that is the concrete beam, and select, so all the beam that has been drawn in this model is selected. So how do I confirm that beams are selected? You can confirm it from the left hand corner. You can see 73 frames are selected, so it will be shown in here. So you can confirm it from here, right? So these different options, you can select your desired structural members. The next one is the assignment. As the assign, for example, if you are assigning different restraints to a joint, you click on this. If you want to make it fix, hinge, roller, or free, you can select this. For example, if I go to the plane and base, I will select these joints. I will go to the assign joint restraint. I will make it fixed. So these will become fixed joint. There are different, another one is the frame. If you want to assign different properties to assign, section properties, properties modify, releases, and offsets, and many other options you can select for your desire, right? The next one is the shell. If you want to assign something to shell, your slabs, your walls, you want to assign slab section, dig section, wall section. If you want to assign opening or many other options, you can select from this drop down list. The next one is the link and many other. This is very important. This is the assignment of the frame loads, joint loads, and shell loads. In this project, we will be using assignment to the frame and assignment to the shell loads, right? So you have to select, for the assignment, you have to select your shell and then go to assign shell loads, uniform loads, and then you have to apply your desired load, whatever you want to apply. Click on OK, the load will apply. How do you confirm the load has been applied? You right click on this area and a window will appear. It will show you geometry assignment and loads. So it will show you what kind of loads and what is the intensity of the load that has been applied on this slab. So this is the use of the assign. Another one is the analyze, in which you have to check your model before doing analysis. Select active freedom of degree of freedoms. For example, this is a 3D, so you have to select 3D. If you are working your 2D plan, so you have to X, Y, Y, no rotation. So many options you can select for your desired model. Next is the set load cases run. If you want to run a specific cases, you can select it from here. For example, if you do not want to run the model, so you have to click on do not run. So this case will not run, but all other cases will run, right? These are the options. For example, automatic meshing, and this is run analysis. Model alive is an option. If, for example, if you have run your analysis and your model, if you want to make changes in the model and you want to see it live. For example, if you have done analysis and you want to delete this beam, so what will be the reaction, or what will be the effect of this beam that you have deleted? So when you active this mode, so software will live will show you live that this beam has been deleted. So what is the effect on this structure? If you delete a column or a slab or whatever, so it will show you live. That is named is model alive. The next one is the lock model, if you want to lock your model. The next one is the display. If you want to display a deformed shape and load assign. For example, we have assign, let me show this undeformed, and display load assign to shell, that I have assigned live load. How much load I have assigned, you have to confirm it from here. Apply. It will show you the applied load on the shell, right? If you want to see the applied load on the frame, so there is no load has been applied on the frame. So this option is not clickable, that apply and OK is not clickable, right? When you apply the load, it will become clickable. So this is the different options you have. You can see the deformed shape and forces and stresses of the analysis you have done. So you can use these options after the completion of your analysis. We will see this in our structure model. And then we have our design tab, in which we have different type of designs option. Steel frame, if you are designing steel frame, you can select your desired code from here. What code are you using? What are different factors, right? You can select it from here. If you are using concrete frame design, so you can select your desired code from revised preferences. You can select your load combinations, and after the analysis, you can display your options. What information you want to display on this screen. Same is for the all. For example, if you are designing composite column design, shear wall, concrete slab design, and all of these, if you want to design a specific story, you can select your desired story only to design these slab for you, right? So these are the different use of the design tab. The next one is the detailing. If you want to make it detailing of your structure inside the ETAB, you can use this, but normally we do not use this. We have our draft mains and we quickly do our drafting by them. So we do not use this because you have to make changes in this detailing that ETABS gives you in an AutoCAD file. So before doing any project, you have to specify any detailing preferences in this ETAB. For example, detailing preferences, you have to assign different units, which units are using, or in which units you want to make your detailing. So we will be not using this in our structure because you do not use this in normal practice. These are the different options in which you can change your view, your windows, and your graphics. For example, if you do not want to your display white, so go to the options, graphic colors, display, and this is the white background, so make it black. Click on OK, it will become black, right? So I think in the last session we have made it black because some of the students, they have complained that they cannot see the member that has been drawn on this screen. So we will be working on the black background from now on. So these are different options in available. You can see, or you can work it on yourself. What are the different options that has been added in this ETAB and what are its uses? So we'll be focusing on the main designing of our project. And if you have any plugin, you can add in this. The interesting thing is the help. That is the ETABS help. If you have any issue during the designing of a project, so you can go to the ETAB help. You can search specific, for example, slab. Not showing, for example, beam. So it will show you different options that is related to the beam. So you can select your desired problem that is you are facing you during your design. So there is a search option. Another option is a documentation, in which you can download many manuals that has been added in this ETAB, different tutorials of design. For example, there has been added design of the slabs or beams and columns. You can find, for example, that base shear wall design that has been added in this. For example, ACI 31814. You have double click it, so this document will appear. So it will show you step by step what formulas, what combination has been used in this design. For example, if you are using default design of the shear walls, so what software is doing, how software is designing your structure, it is showing different formulas and derivation of the formula, so you can see it also, right? So these are, if you can take help from the webs, or you can watch and learn, and you can, if you have cracked your system, your ETABs, you do not click on this check for updates, because if you check on this, your software will crack. So this was the whole story about the ETAB. Now we will go towards the SAFE. So SAFE and ETABS and SAP 2000, these are the same softwares, but having different functions to analyze different type of systems. So when you open this SAFE is normally used for the design of the beams and slabs. So these are the different type of slab system, but you can also design your slabs and beams in ETABS that we normally do in your daily practice. So this system, this is the window which you have to select your desired system. For example, if I select this, you have to define different type of the information. You have to insert, right? And then you have to click OK, and then the system will appear that you have you want to design, right? The different type of the tools that I have defined in the ETABS is same as for the SAFE, but there is different. There is no design of the column in SAFE, but I have heard that in SAFE version 2020, the column design has been added in the SAFE, so you can design your columns in SAFE as well, right? So in our project, we will be designing our framing system in ETABS, and we will be designing our raft in SAFE, right? So this was the a little bit summary of the introduction to SAFE in ETAB. So is there any confusion or any questions? You can may write it down, and you can ask at the end of this session. So right, so let us go towards the second part of this session 2. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So the next part is the part 2 of this session 2 is modeling of the proposed 14-story building, and we will be modeling our 14-story building using three methods. The method 1 is the direct import of grid lines and columns from CAD file. The second method is using quick draw templates of ETAB that I have shown to you. And the last one is using grid lines in ETABS, right? So before start modeling or designing your structure, the important thing is that you have studied your architecture drawing very carefully, that you have understood the architect have give enough columns, or that it may not have any longer spans that may requires a deeper beam. So you have to discuss all of these issues with the architect at the initial stage. So let us go towards the archi- architecture plans that we will be using in this design. So this is a commercial building. You can say it is in shops. We have different shops, and then we have on the top there we have offices. So we have 14 stories. So how do you confirm it? For example, this is our basement plan in which we have parking, and this is the ramp that is coming down from the ground floor. And we have different grid lines that I have drawn it. If you do not have any grid lines in your system or in your projects, we have to draw the grid lines and send it back to the architect that I have drawn this grid lines, please check it, right? So he will respond respectively, right? So this is the section AA. Let us check the section AA, and then we will go towards the plan. What we have in this plan, what are the grid sizes? So first of all, the grid sizes is 14, 12, 15. This is the symmetrical. For example, it is a mirror grid, and on the left grid we have 19, 12, 20, and these are the grid spacing, right? We have 126 cross 156. In last session, in last training, some of the students asked me about the expansion joint. So what is the length, maximum length that has been permitted by different codes or the general practice, after which you have to give the expansion joint. So normally if you have length up to 200, it is fine. But if the length is increased from 200, for example, if this length is 350 or 250, or if you have 300, so you have to give the expansion joint at that location, or the mid or any other location. So you have to divide it, make it that length less than 200, right? So this is the general practice. So we have the length less than one. This is 126, and other is 156. These both are the less than 200, so we do not need to give any expansion joint. For the stories up to 8 stories, for the building having 8 stories up to 10 stories, you can give expansion joint. The spacing between the two buildings, between two blocks, is 2 inches. But if it is high rise, for example 14 stories, or it is greater than 15 stories up to 20, 25 stories, you have to increase the spacing between the two blocks. You have to increase it to the 3 inches or maybe 4 inches to incorporate or minimize the effect of the pounding. So these are the general consideration which we adopt during our design in consultancy. So this is our first plane, that is basement plane, in which we have this ramp. We have one lift wall that is 10 cross 10 at this location, and one lift is on other location that is 10 cross 10. We have these stairs. Remember that we will not be modeling any stairs in our ETAB model, because the contribution of these stairs is very less in our stiffness, overall stiffness, and the K metrics of our system. So it takes a lot of time of an engineer or model to model these stairs in ETABs. So there is no need to model any stairs in this ETAB. We do not model in our structure in normal practice, right? So we will be modeling our ramp as well as all of these. This we have retaining wall. This is the retaining wall, and we have two lift walls, and this we have retaining wall in basement. So how do we confirm this is retaining wall? So you can confirm all of these information from the section AA. So let us go towards the section AA. So you can see this is the raft, and this is the hedge of the concrete. So we have hedge over here. This is our retaining wall up to the ground floor, right? So after that we have no retaining wall because we have only one basement. So this is the story height, 11 for each. Normally this is the practice, and we have G plus 12, one basement, G plus 12, and this is the top floor. So only total 14 stories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So we have 14-story building in which at the basement we have parking, and the ground floor and first floor we have shops, and then from second floor we have offices up to the top. So at the initial stage, the understanding of the architecture drawing is very important. So what is your job when you get your architecture drawing from architect or your client? You have to check the grid spacing. This is the first one. The second one, you have to check for the cross section, what is the heights of your story. The third one, you have to check the given column dimensions of an architect. So this has been given as a 2 at initial. So you have to check your model initially on these columns, and you have to increase. If you have to increase your column, you have to modify this in AutoCAD file and then send it back to the architect that we have changed the column sizes. So please adjust this according to architecture demand, right? So this is the basement plan, and then we have our ground floor. Remember that we are seeing at a ground basement plane. For example, if you make a cut at this level, at the lintel level, for example, at this level, so you are seeing what is below this line, right? So the slab of the basement floor is the ground floor, right? So many of the students do not know, so they only design this. So this is not the ramp plan. For example, this they design a slab for the basement by making an opening this much, but this is not the slab of the basement. This is, you are saying, a plane. The slab of the basement is this one, the slab of the ground floor is this one, and the slab of this one, this, and so on. You can see the slab of the top floor is this roof plane, right? So this is the difference. When we start our modeling, the opening for the ramp will be this much, not this much, because this is not the slab. The basement slab is this, right? So in ground floor we have this shops, that we have our passage and different type of shops, and then we have this washrooms in which the walls are not resting on the beams. So we will have to calculate the load of each wall, and then have to divide this load by the area of this panel, and we have to apply the area load on this panel to take the load of these walls. On the first floor we have again shops, and from the second to top floor we have offices, right? So we will be modeling these in ETAB. So first of all, let us go towards the first method of modeling. So how do we model our proposed building? So this is the first method. So first of all, you have to draw grid lines in CAD file or columns at the desired location, right? If there is no grid lines or columns, sometimes the architect only send you the architecture plans which consist of the columns, which consist of the walls, and there is no grid lines, no columns, so you have to draw it by yourself or by your draftman. So after drawing these lines, give proper layer name to the grid or column, save it as a DXF file, and remove the remaining items. After that, import this DXF file in ETABS in the same story in which you are currently working or which is currently open. For example, if you have opened a plain view of ground floor, then you have to select the ground floor during the importation of the DXF file. I will show you what does it mean by this line. and then save your file and start modeling ETABS or your structure using these architectural drawings, right? So let us implement this method one. So first of all, you have to take a copy of this and then save it as DXF. Make it the display decimal accuracy to 0, and this is name. Give the name to the file. For example, if I give it, let us let grid DXF, enter. So this file has been saved. Now delete all of this. For example, you have only this one plane because we have symmetrical plane from bottom to top. If you have different type of change, there is a columns in the basement that has been ended in the first, and then there is no columns, you can edit your different grid lines or grid column planes. So you have to play ISO, click on this, and delete these extra lines. Another thing you can do is you move these lines select all of these, move, play, and ISO. Delete. So this is the only grid that has been left. So we have to move it to the 0 origin, that when during importation it import near the origin in the ETAB. So this is the grid we have set for importation in ETAB. So now you have to again, if you have to cross this file when you save DXF file, and if this file is still opening, it will show error in ETAB during importation. So right, let me click on cross. It will again ask me for save. Yes, save it. Save it as DXF. Click on 0. Yes, I want to overwrite. So it has been saved and it's closed. So let us go towards the ETAB. Click on the new model. Click on OK. Keep it all default. Right. So now you are using grid lines that is you want to import from ETAB. So you have to set some of the data in here. For example, it is 14 stories. So it is click on 14, right? And keep story height 11, and keep all of these by default, and click on blank and click on OK. So nothing has been appeared, but when you right click on the modify grid, so 14 story has been defined, but there is no grid or no model. So now go to this, let me close this, go to plane, story 1. So now we are working in story 1. Go to file, import, click on this DXF file, architecture plane, and then go towards the file that you have defined, grids DXF, double click. So now you have to select the story 1 because we are currently working in story 1. Yes, keep all of this by default, click on OK. So now the grids that you have set for from CAD file has been imported into the ETABS. So now you can draw your grids on these of your, this is the ETAB grid. You can draw it manually, but when you have irregular grids, for example V shape or W shape building, to you it becomes very laborious job to draw these lines one by one. So what is the shortcut? The shortcut is you go to, this is the model, for example you do not have any model explorer in your interface. So what you have to do, you have to go to option, and you have to click on this show model explorer, right? So model explorer will appear. Go on model explorer to display, model windows, plane view, architectural layers. So what was the layer that you have saved your architectural grids? I think it was grid. Let me confirm it. So click on this. It is in the layer G. So you have to select layer G in ETAB. So this is G. So right click on G. So there is an option add grid. So when you click on it, the grid lines of the CAD has been replaced by the, or you can say has been drawn on the architectural grids. So how do you minimize these architectural layers or grids to see the ETAB grid that has been constructed using these grids? Go to option, architectural plane option, and deselect all. Click on OK. So now these are the grids of an ETAB. These are not the grids of the architecture, because we have minimized those grids that has been imported from ETAB, from AutoCAD to ETAB. So now you can use it as to draw your model. For example, if I click on this quick command, so now you can draw your beams. Now you can draw your columns, right? So this is the first option in which you can draw your model. So let me delete this and draw our concrete section, concrete column. This is concrete column. Later on we will edit its property. If you can see, we have our column in each, on each grid line we had our column, you can see. So you can quickly draw, but there is a two grids which we do not have any columns, so later on we can delete it. Here we do not have any column, do not have any column. Here we do not have any column. So let us draw. So this is another option on the right side at the corner, that is one story or all stories, similar stories. So you can use it according to your requirement. If you want to draw all of your column at one click, so you select all stories, right? Let me open another window. So these are the grid lines that has been defined for the 14 stories. So let us draw our columns using this all story command and select our property that has been concrete column and click on this. So you can see on the right side the column has been drawn in all the stories using this. So now you can delete your unwanted columns. So it will be deleted from all the stories because you are using this all story command, right? The next one is you have to draw your beams. Select this quick draw beams. Select your desired property. It will be using your grids. So click on this. It is using all story. So in all story beams will be constructed, right? Same is for the slab. Select the slab property. Let us have this slab 1 and click on this. The slab will be drawn on each story, right? So let us undo this and let us use the replicate command. If some of the guys are not familiar with the replicate command, Let us make it story 1. If you for some reason you forgot to select the all story, and you made some changes or drawn some slabs or beams in one story, and you want that similar to the other stories, so let us you can draw manually. This is another option. You can draw manually your architecture slabs like this, right? You can draw it trapezoidal of any shape of your desire, right? So I'm showing you different type of tools which you can use, and we will be using in this. So let us delete these and draw our slab in one story, because I have selected this one story. So these slab has been constructed only in story 1, but you want to replicate these in all the stories, so you have to select all of. So now you have selected all these. This has selected beams, columns, and slab, all of these, but you do not want to replicate the beams, columns, only slabs, because you already have beams and columns on this dot story. But when you do not have these, so you can select all and replicate all, right? So let me clear this and go to this option, display option, and turn off columns and beams. So these will be turned off. Select only slab and go to edit, replicate, replicate by story, and replicate it from story 2 to top, right? So click on apply. So all the slabs or has been replicated from story 1 to the top, right? This story is showing beams and columns because we are working in this plane. So this is how you model your structure using grid lines. You can also use your column sizes in architecture to model these. Let us save this. I have saved this. Let us save this. Let's. So now this model has been saved. Let us go towards the column. How to import the column? Same method is used to import the column in your structure of your structure in ETABS. For example, if you have very irregular structure, for example, if you have a structure like this, and there are different columns, and you do not want to use any grid lines, or you cannot use grid lines because its orientation will be different. So for this type of structure or any type of structure, for this regular, irregular, you can import your column plane into ETAB. Again, let us go towards the save as DXF. It's 0. Give the name column DXF. Enter. So it has been saved. Now delete all others. And make it lay ISO. It will isolate the layers. You can import your shear walls as well if you are willing to. Remember that you do not have to import block. For example, this is a block. You see, this is a block. So ETAB do not treat blocks, so you have to make it or explode these blocks. So now I have hollowed this section. So now you have to select all and make it explode. Make it single column, right? Let us explode this as well. Let me change it first. So this is a group. This is ungroup. Now you can delete your Now make it group again. Only select walls, do not select the columns. Column is separate and this is separate. So give the grid naming. These are has been added in the walls. So let us define a layer, add new layer, give it lift walls. Change the color into green and select these two and change it into left walls. It disappeared because we have layered ISO. Use layered ISO. Give another layer, new layer, name it column and change its color to blue. Select all of these and give it to the column layer. Right? Lay an ISO. Right? So now make it again. Lay ISO. Delete all of these, only this and this. Click on OK. And then move these on the right side. Now lay an ISO and select all of them, delete it. Now turn on the grids to move it to the near the origin. So now it has been set to import in the ETAB. Again, click on cross. Yes, yes. DXF, make it 0. Yes. Right, it has been saved. So now click on the new model. Okay. Again, insert 14 stories, 11, 11. Click on blank, click on OK. Go to the plane, first story, file, import, architecture plane. And now this time select the columns. And select from here the story 1 because we are currently here in story 1. Click on OK. So now you can see the column that has been imported into ETABS, right? So now you can, so let me go to the graphics display and make it black to make it visible. So now you can see the columns that we defined in our architecture plan and has been imported into the ETABS. So now you can draw your columns, your desired property by clicking here. This is the point, this is the center. Click, you can draw your columns. Let me show this another window. This is it is modeling in one story because we have selected only one story. Let us go back and select all stories so you can see how this command is very effective. If you it depends upon your project. If your project is very heavy, your ETAB model or your file will become very heavy, right? So select all stories draw your column, it will be drawn in all the stories you can see on the right side. So this is the manual method which we have to draw your column one by one, right? Another option is same as we use for the grids. For example, if I select these and delete it, and again go to display, model window, plan view, architecture, and we have named that layer of the column as a column. Right click on the column and click on the 8 column object. It will draw your column on the columns that has been imported from the AutoCAD in all the stories, because you have selected at the bottom all the stories. So now you can see with one click you can draw your irregular structure columns without the grids using architecture plane imported into ETAB. So now you can draw your beams. You can also draw your grid lines if you are willing to see the elevation view, because there is no elevation view right now, but you can draw your grid lines. Going to draw grid, and just click on the joint. So this file is heavy, so it's taking time. Click on the joint, so ETAB grid will be defined, right? So now you can see in elevation, this is elevation 1. Click on OK. So now you can see your beam that has been drawn in grid 1, right? So this is a very quick way to draw your columns that has been imported from CAD, that you have a very irregular structure that you cannot draw it on grid lines, whether it is grid lines from ETABS or imported from CAD. You are very confused and very congested grid lines, so you can use this command to import the columns. So again, you can draw your shear wall as well by again going into this plane architecture, and this is the shear wall. Click on this, right click and add wall object. So it will draw your shear walls on the shear wall that has been imported from the CAD file. Now you can see this is our 3D model that we just constructed model in our ETAB. So again, now you can, but here when you draw your grid lines it become easy, but when you do not want to draw your grid lines, so you have to draw your beams manually. So let me turn off the architectural plans, deselect all. So now you can see these are the ETAB. So click on this. So you have to draw your beams manually one by one, and we have selected all the stories. So let us draw the grid lines. You can import your grid lines plus your column plane as well. So it will take time. So this is the way you can draw your grids, and then you can draw quickly your beams on these grid lines. So you can divide these beams by selecting this and go to edit. These are different tools I'm telling you. Edit frame, and you select this break intersection of the frame joints and click on OK. It will divide your beam in different segments. That, for example, I have drawn it at a single, now it has been divided. So now this was the general method one, which can be used to model our structure. So I think this is enough. You can draw your own beams and grids. I have just give you a demonstration on this. So how do you import and draw your columns, right? So I think this is enough. This is method one, because we will be modeling our structure using other two methods. This is method 2 and method 3. Method 2 will be quick templates, and method 3 will be again grid lines. So I think this is enough. Is it okay to stop our session here?
Sir, it is enough.
Yes, sir.
Is there any questions in today's session you can ask? I hope today's session was very helpful to import the grid lines and column planes to ETAB, and how you model and use different tools of ETABs.
Yes, sir, it was. Sir, my question is a general question. Sir, I want to know that if we have L-shaped building or U-shaped building, so should we provide the expansion joint, or we separate that building into rectangles?
Right.
So what should we do? We should separate that, or we should provide the expansion joint in that? Like we have L-shape or U-shape type building.
Yes, yeah, I understood your question. Let me explain it here. You are talking about this L?
Yes, sir.
In this U shape.
Yes, sir.
So I have explained earlier, if this dimension is greater than 200 feet, this is the general thumb rule, and there is some requirement of the code. There is an ACI special code for this. You can search into the Google. So you have to give expansion joint. But in case of the L shape, you have to give expansion joint here in here if this length is greater than 200 feet. If it is small length, for example 50 feet or 60 feet, so there is no need to give expansion joint, but you can give this, reduce this in trend section by this shape. So in this way you can minimize or reduce the torsion irregularity in the building. Same in the case of the U shape. If it is very large building, you can divide it into different. For example, this is a very large, so you can divide into 3 blocks. But if there is normally engineers are very happy to give expansion joints and divide into different blocks, because during the winter season and summer season there is a contraction expansion of the different members. So there it appears different cracks in the non-structural elements and above the windows and doors. So for this purpose, if you give more expansion joint, it will be very good for the structural engineer. But there is some issues with the architect. They do not agree with the expansion joint because it changed its overall architectural plan. So if the architect is agreeing with you by giving expansion joint here or in these two directions, so it is very good you can give it. Right?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
जी अगर कोई किसी को कोई मसला है, इंग्लिश में क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते तो आप उर्दू में कर सकते हैं, पश्तो में भी कर सकते हैं.
सर एक और जो है ना जनरल क्वेश्चन है, अगर कंक्रीट का बिल्डिंग है उसके ऊपर हमने स्टील स्ट्रक्चर बनाना है, मतलब 1 स्टोरी या 2 स्टोरी, तो उसका जो लोड कॉम्बिनेशन है वो भी जो है ना हमने स्टील जो कोड होते हैं उससे लेना है, या उस पर कुछ असरात पड़ेंगे, मतलब जो कंक्रीट का वो जो अपर फ्लोर होगा, जो स्लेब होगा, उसका जो है ना वो सपोर्ट हम फिक्स लेंगे या पिन लेंगे?
किस तरह की बात आप करें? फॉर एग्जांपल आपके पास एक 3 स्टोरी
सर
आरसी बिल्डिंग है और आरसी स्लैब है, उसके ऊपर आप एक और स्टोरी बना रहे हैं और आप फिर ट्रस दे रहे हैं ऊपर रूफ में, इस
जी
तरह की
जी
बात कर रहे हैं?
जी सर, जो स्टील बिल्डिंग उसका जो है ना एक 1 स्टोरी होगा वो स्टील का होगा, तो
जी जी
उसका
बिल्कुल.
जो बेस का जी जी
आप जो स्टील, आप जितनी भी आपके पास स्ट्रक्चर है वो आपके पास एसीआई तो आपके पास सिर्फ कंक्रीट के लिए है, उसके अपने कोड्स आप फॉलो करेंगे, उसकी लोड कॉम्बिनेशन जितने भी होंगे. लेकिन रिमेंबर आपके पास जो स्टील स्ट्रक्चर्स है, जो नॉर्मली ट्रसेस है, वो आपके पास विंड के लिए और सेल्फ वेट के लिए डिज़ाइन होती है. उसमें अर्थक्वेक का कोई इशू, लोड कॉम्बिनेशन में कोई रोल नहीं है. आप कभी भी ट्रस को अर्थक्वेक के लिए डिज़ाइन नहीं करेंगे. अगर आपने ट्रस को अर्थक्वेक के लिए डिज़ाइन कर लिया तो आपके पास बहुत बहुत बड़े मेंबर्स आ जाएंगे, बहुत हेवी मेंबर्स आ जाएंगे, दैट विल बी अनइकोनॉमिकल. तो आप इस तरह जो कंक्रीट फ्रेम है उसको अर्थक्वेक के लिए डिज़ाइन कर ले, और आपके पास जो ट्रस है उसको आप विंड के लिए कर ले, उसकी जो स्नो लोड है और आपके पास सेल्फ वेट है उसके लिए डिज़ाइन करते हैं, अर्थक्वेक के लिए डिज़ाइन नहीं करते.
और सर जो कंक्रीट का और जो स्टील का जो कनेक्शन होगा वो पिन होगा, जो बेस का जो सपोर्ट का जो हम स्टैंड देते हैं वो पिन होगा
जी
या
जी
फिक्स
बिल्कुल
होगा?
वो जी जी बिल्कुल वो पिन होगा. अगर आप पिन नहीं करेंगे तो आपके पास मोमेंट ट्रांसफर होगा फ्रॉम कंक्रीट फ्रेम इनटू द स्टील फ्रेम. आप वो पिन रखेंगे ताकि कोई भी मोमेंट ट्रांसफर ना हो ट्रस में, क्योंकि ट्रस में आपके पास मोमेंट रेजिस्ट नहीं कर सकते, वो आपके पास सिर्फ टेंशन एंड कंप्रेशन को रेजिस्ट करेंगे. आप सॉफ्टवेयर में तो ले लेते सारे कनेक्शन को पिन लेते, लेकिन रियलिटी में आप इसको पिन किस तरह करेंगे? आपके पास को बोल्ट्स प्रोवाइड करेंगे हर जगह.
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर.
लेकिन आप जो इंकरेज देते, मैं आपकी समझ में जितना मैं समझा, आप ये कहना चाहते हैं कि जो हम जो बीम या कॉलम पे जो हमारा प्लेट्स रखेगा वो आपके पास फिक्स हो गया या पिन हो गया, राइट? ये कह रहे हैं आप?
सर मेरा
फॉर
यही
एग्जाम्पल
क्वेश्चन था कि जी जी
ये फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये आपके पास 2 कॉलम्स है और उसके ऊपर आपके पास ये ट्रस है, ठीक है जी. ये आपके पास एक, तो आपके पास जो ये रीजन है इस पे आपके पास जो प्लेट्स होंगे वो प्लेट्स आपके पास बोल्ट की तरह यू शेप के एंकरेज दिए जाते, तो ये एंकरेज तो आपके पास फिक्स होंगे. लेकिन इस एंकर के साथ जो प्लेट्स है और प्लेट्स जो ट्रस को कनेक्ट करा है दैट विल बी पिन. तो आपके पास ये कनेक्शन पिन होना चाहिए, अदरवाइज दिस मोमेंट विल बी ट्रांसफर इनटू दिस एंड दिस विल बी ट्रांसफर. तो आपके पास इस मेंबर में मोमेंट आ जाएंगे, यहाँ तो सारे पिन है तो ये तो मोमेंट्स नहीं ले सकते, लेकिन ये मेंबर आपके पास मोमेंट में फिर फ्लेक्चर में फेल हो जाएगा. आपने मॉडल में इसको डिजाइन नहीं किया हुआ, लेकिन एक्चुअल में अगर आप इसको फिक्स करेंगे तो दैट विल फेल इन फ्लेक्चर. ठीक है.
ओके सर.
जी अगर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो अगर आप अभी पूछ नहीं सकते, आपके जहन में नहीं आ रहा, तो आप उस पर सोच सकते हैं. आप वीडियो दोबारा रिकॉर्डिंग में आपके साथ शेयर कर लूँगा, आप उस प्रैक्टिस कर ले जो आज भी हमने इस सेशन में कर लिया. So let me speak it in English. So if you do not have any question in your mind, so you can note it later down and I will share the recording. If you have any question, you can note and you can ask me tomorrow, right? So this is the end of the session 2. If there is no any
Sir.
question, so, जी जी
Sir,
جی وای پښتو کې وای اردو کې وای څه کې وای
आवाज راځي
आपकी
سر
आवाज
دا
नहीं आ
وایم
रही
تاسو
काइंडली
کوم د architecture आवाज راځي سر اوس
تاسو आवाज ډیسټرب
هلو
کیږي ډېر
आवाज
زیات
راځي سر
جی 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 اوس راځي
ها پته نه لګي ما خو موبایل دغه برابر دی دا لیفت خبره سره ما ته आवाज ټیک شو سر
جی جی ټیک دی
هلو
جی جی وای تاسو आवाज مونږ اورو
جی سر आवाज راځي
جی جی आवाज کلیر تاسو وای څه کوچ
سر دا architecture پلان کې تاسو چې کوم دا لیفت ورکړي ډایګنلی مطلب یو کار نه او بل کار نه تاسو شو کړی دي نارملی
جی
هو
جی
مطلب architecture چې کوم دی نو دا سټیر ته مخامخ چې کوم دی لیفت نارملی دا جوړیږي پریکټیکلی چې
جی جی
څومره کارونه کیږي کنه مطلب مې دا را چې از اٹ ډیپند ان ډیزاین کرایټیریا اور یا مطلب جست دا موږ architecture
ګورې دا
دغه
چې
لپاره دا
صحیح
شو ورکولی
آرکیټیکټ کنه ما بل سیشن تاسو ډېر ښه کوېسچن وکړو
جی جی
وی تاسو ایکسپلین کوم چې صحیح آرکیټیکټ کنه چې هغه تاسو سره چې کم فور ایگزامپل تاسو سره بلډینګ کې دوه لیفټس دي درې لیفټس دي نو هغه تکړه آرکیټیکټ کوشش کوي چې دا په ایجز باندې راشي دا تاسو ټارژن کنټرول کوي تاسو ډرفټ کنټرول کوي ټیک دی نورمالي چې کم دا
جی
عام آرکیټیکټس په بازار ځان خلاصي هغه مینس کې راولي یا سایډ ته راولي هغه فور ایگزامپل هغه یو کس دلته لیفټ ور کړی دی بل ځای کې لیفټ نشته دی سو د بلډینګ ویل روټیټ اباوت دیس لیفټ سو سیستم به داسې به روټیټ کېږي داسې به بیا به تاسو ډفرنٹ شیر والز سجیسټ کوئ آرکیټیکټ ته چې ما ته دلته شیر وال پکار دی دلته پکار دی هغه به درته وایي نه زما دلته خو دا اپارټمنټ بیډروم کې راځي زما افس کې راځي دا ډفرنٹ ایشوز راځي خو چې تاسو تکړه آرکیټیکټ سره کار وکړئ نو هغه به خامخا داسې ګوټونو کې لیفټ ورکوي چې هغه تاسو سره ټارژن هم اوس تاسو دا وګورئ دلته دې کې ټارژن به دومره نه راځي که راځي هم نو موږ پکې بیا ایجز ته شیر والز ورکوو نورمالي چې آرکیټیکټ سره تاسو ډیلینګ کوئ ورته به وایي چې موږ ته پیریفري باندې شیر والز راکړئ ایل شیپ کې یا اونلی پلین شیر والز چې هغه موږ سره دا ډرفټ یا ټارژن ایرګولیټي کنټرول کړي دا یو بلډینګ و
اوکے سر
ګلبهار پارکینګ جوړ شوی دی پېښور کې خو
جی
دا 6 سټوریز و خو موږ د ډیزاین پرپز دپاره های رایز دپاره موږ 14 سټوریز واغشتو
جی جی
ټیک دی دا تاسو سره راځي نورمالي تاسو سره لیفټ اخوا دېخوا کېدی شي خو بیا به اکارډنګلی تاسو خپل انالیسس ته ګورئ بیا به آرکیټیکټ ته د شیروال لوکیشن سجیسټ کوئ چې موږ دلته شیروال موږ
شیروال په کوم ځای باندې موږ دا کولی شو ایکسټرنلي مطلب څه
شیروال خو تاسو چې کوم ځای فور ایگزامپل تاسو سره دا یو لیفټ شته دی دا لیفټ تاسو سره نشته دی ټیک دی جی دا اپ ټاپ لیفټ تاسو سره شته دی لاندې لیفټ نشته دی نو تاسو چې کله انالیسس وکړئ نو دا بلډینګ بس تاسو دا بس تاسو اوریجن دا بلډینګ بس تاسو د لیفټ نه داسې به چې داسې تاري نو تاسو ته به شیروال د ګوډ باندې پکاري یا د ګوډ باندې نشي در کولی نو یو به دا شان دې ډایرکشن کې پکاري بل به دې ډایرکشن کې پکاري یو نیم به دې ډایرکشن کې پکاري او بیا تاسو ډفرنٹ لوکیشنز ګورئ آرکیټیکټ سره میټینګ کوئ چې کوم ځای کې هغه ته فیزیبلی هغه آرکیټیکچر هم ډسټرب نشي تاسو ټارژن هم کنټرول شي
سرجی د لیپ کې موږ دا شیروال ولې ورکو
دا خو شیروال نه دا خو لیفټ وال دی کنه به زمونږ ایز ا شیروال کار کوي
صحیح ده
دا خو تاسو بریک هم خېجولی شئ خو بیا به اصل کې های رایز کې بریک کار نه کوي اوس کیپسول لیفټ ته هغه تاسو بریک کې خېجولی شئ ځکه چې د هغې سره خپل سټیل سټرکچر سټیل فریم نو ټول لوډ په هغې نه وي بریک میسنري وال صرف پردې دپاره یوز کېږي باقي هغه ټول لوډ په فریم سټرکچر وي او چې کله تاسو سره صحیح لیفټ وي نو هغه تاسو آر سی به ورکوئ ادروایز بریک هغه نشي برداشت کولی تاسو چې فیلډ ته لاړ شئ آرکیټیکچر ډرایینګ تاسو ته راشي نارملي تاسو به ګورئ چې فاونډیشن نه به کیپسول لیفټ سټارټ نه وي ګراوند فلور نه کیپسول لیفټ سټارټ وي هغې وجه دا چې دا تاسو سره آر سی کې نه وي دا تاسو سره بریک کې وي بریک وال جوړ کړي بیا بریک وال سره تاسو سره سټیل فریم جوړ کړي سټیل فریم بیا هغه ټول لوډ سپورټ کوي د لیفټ کیپسول لیفټ
سر دا
بل یو کوېسچن دی
د سټیرز مونږ ولې نه کنسیډر کوو د ډیزاین کې سر؟
اچھا جی دا نارمل چې فور ایگزامپل تاسو سره د بلډینګ سټیفنس 100 دی نو چې تاسو سټیر ډیزاین کینو ته دیس کنټریبیوشن ان د 100 سټیفنس تاسو سره 0.001 یا 0.005 وي هغه دومره سمال چې هغه دومره سي افیکټ نه ورځي هغه باندې دومره ټایم ځای کول نه خدا چې هغه ماډل نه کی اوپننګ پرې د خیر دی ځکه چې اوپننګ سره تاسو سره سلیب کې سټیفنس چینج راځي خو اورال بلډینګ کې میټرکس تاسو کا ډاینامیکس ویلی نو هغه کې میټرکس تاسو سره شو ماس میټرکس شو هغه دومره افیکټ نه ورځي هغه باندې لیټر آن خیر د مونږ به اگر ټکا ټایم ملو شو مونږ به خیر ماډل وکړو ګینه ادروایز نارمل چې مونږ کم پریکټیس کو هغه کې نه ماډل کی
سر دا بیا موږ اوپن سپیس پرېږدو د لپاره لکه سلیب دی کې نه کنه
نه جی اوپن خو پریدو سلیب کې اوپن ځای پریدو ځکه چې سلیب سټیفنس ټرانسفر کیږي تاسو کو ویلی اسنټیسټی شفت کیږي هغه د وجه موږ سره ټارژن ګور چې ټارژن راځي کنه راځي
اوکے سر اوکے
سنټر اف ماس او سنټر اف سټیفنس په تاسو ویلی ایزوم
جی
چې
جی
تاسو ته پته وي هغه چې کله تاسو سره ډیفرنٹ راشي هغه کې ای راشي اسنټیسټی راشي نو ارتک کالتی پلیشن هغه ډیفرنٹ تاسو سره یو ایکسترا مومنت پروډوس کی هغه مومنت د وجه تاسو ټارژن راځي هغه ټارژن انکارپوریټ کول لپاره اوپننګ ډیر مست
اوکے سر
جی اگر اور if there is no other questions we can end up this session and we will
Sir.
meet tomorrow.
سر آئی ڈونٹ نو ہاؤ ٹو یوز AutoCAD سر سو مجھے کوئی مسئلہ تو نہیں ہوگا
جی سمجھا نہیں کیا مطلب
سر مجھے AutoCAD چلانا نہیں آتا فی الحال سر میں نے نہیں سیکھا تو مجھے مسئلہ تو کوئی نہیں ہوگا
آپ اپنے ڈرافٹ مین رکھیے نا فار ایگزامپل آپ کے پاس ایک پروجیکٹ آیا ہے فار ایگزامپل 10 اسٹوری 15 اسٹوری آپ تو اسٹرکچر ڈیزائن کر سکتے ہیں آپ ETAB سے جو آپ کے پاس کیا ہے فیس بک میں آپ ایڈ دے سکتے ہیں آپ اخبار میں ایڈ دے سکتے ہیں کہ آئی نیڈ اے ڈرافٹ مین فار اے پروجیکٹ ایک پروجیکٹ کے لیے ایک ڈرافٹ مین کو ہائر کر دے ان کو آپ کو 10-15 ہزار روپے دے رہے آپ کو پوری ڈرافٹنگ کر دے گا
سر کیا آپ یہ آرکیٹیکچرل ڈرائنگ شیئر کر سکتے ہیں
یہ آپ کے ساتھ شیئر کر لوں گا یہ بھی شیئر کر لوں گا وہ جتنی بھی ہمارے پاس ACI اور بلڈنگ کوڈ آف پاکستان ہے وہ کوڈ
سر بلڈنگ
جی
کیا کہتا ہے وہ
آپ کی بات نہیں سمجھ رہا کائنڈلی آپ میسج ٹائپ کر لے سمجھ نہیں آئی کیا کہ
سر نماز کا ٹائم ہو رہا ہے سیشن اینڈ کر دے کائنڈلی
چلے ٹھیک ہے جی اگر پھر بھی کوئی کسی کا کوئی کویشچن ہے تو آپ اپنے ساتھ نوٹ کر لیں if there is any question in your mind if there is no question till now so do your practice what we have done in this session 2 and after when you start practicing you will face different type of problems and you note down that and you can ask me tomorrow right so let us end this session and inshallah we will meet tomorrow let me stop the recording